Good evening. My name is Yvonne, and you're looking at Words of Wisdom, Wisdom chapter number 25. Our phone number is 773-633-2640. Tonight, if you have any questions or comments, you can call the station at 312-738-1060. Tonight, we're going to speak about children and autism. As some of you may know, April is Autism Awareness Month. So today we're going to gain a little facts about it, and we're also going to watch a short video on research that's being done to assist people who are suffering from autism. Again, my name is Yvonne, and I am the current president of Wisdom Chapter 25. Please feel free to call in with any questions or concerns that you may have. So to start off with, we're going to do just a little knowledge on what autism is. Autism spectrum disorder, as it is known, or ASD, is a complex developmental disability, and it has signs that typically appear during early childhood and affects a person's ability to communicate and interact with others. ASD is defined by a certain set of behaviors and is a spectrum condition that affects individuals differently and to varying degrees. There's no single cause for autism, but increased awareness and early diagnosis, intervention, and access to appropriate services and support leads to significantly improved outcomes. Some of the behaviors associated with autism include delayed learning of language, difficulty making eye contact or holding a conversation, difficulty with executive functioning, which relates to reasoning and planning narrow, intense interest, poor motor skills, and sensory sensitivities. Again, a person on the spectrum might follow many of these behaviors or just a few or many other besides these mentioned. The diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder is applied based on analysis of all behaviors and their severity. So now I'm going to show a brief research video showing some of the research that's being done for autism, and then we'll go back into a few more details and things that you can look for in your small children and toddlers so that you can be more aware of where they should be developmentally at certain stages of their lives.
Over the last decade, Autism Speaks Science has led to major breakthroughs that are already allowing us to better understand and help people with autism. Here are 4 of those breakthroughs. The first breakthrough is early identification and diagnosis. Autism Speaks Science funded the Baby Siblings Research Consortium. This group of researchers studied the younger siblings of children with autism. These siblings allowed us to understand the early signs and symptoms and to get clinicians that information so that they could decrease the age of diagnosis. About a decade ago, most children with autism were diagnosed around age 4, 5, or even older than 6. We now know that the national average of diagnosis for autism is less than age 4, and we also know that many children can be identified by age 2. The second major breakthrough is timely intervention. Autism Speaks funded research has shown that early developmental and behavioral interventions make a big difference. Investigators such as Jerry Dawson and Jonathan Green have demonstrated that direct child intervention and parent training make lasting differences by improving a child's ability, decreasing the challenges they experience, and improving their daily living skills. The third breakthrough is understanding and treating the associated medical and mental health conditions that go along with autism. We now know that autism goes along with a number of medical and mental health challenges, including sleep difficulties, seizures, feeding difficulties, ADHD and anxiety symptoms. These additional challenges were once thought to just be part of autism. We now know that they need a separate evaluation, diagnosis, and appropriate treatment. The Autism Speaks funded Autism Treatment Network has made a major difference by educating clinicians, physicians, psychologists, speech-language pathologists about these co-occurring medical and mental health conditions. Physicians and other clinicians need to understand that these co-occurring medical and mental health conditions are not simply part of autism. They need to be able to look at these conditions separately and to be able to provide appropriate evaluation and treatment. The fourth major breakthrough is a massive increase in our understanding of the biology of autism. We now know that there are approximately 100 genes associated with autism. We're also starting to understand the biological functions and pathways that lead to autism. It's these discoveries that are going to allow us to develop new personalized therapeutics and medicines that can make a big difference in the lives of individuals with autism. Autism Speaks funded research projects such as the Autism Genetic Resource Exchange and the Missing Project, whole genome sequencing, are allowing us to understand not only the genes involved, but to uncover that biology. Understanding each person's unique biology will allow us to develop care strategies that are not based upon group averages, but rather based on each person's unique biological profile. These research breakthroughs would not have been possible without the support of so many people around the country and around the world. It's thanks to you that Autism Speaks Science is making a difference every day in the lives of individuals with autism and their families. Thank you.
So that video did give a lot of information very quickly, and I wanted to go over that in a little bit more detail. In 2016, the Center for Disease Control issued a ADDM autism prevalence report, and in that report it concluded that the autism rate had risen to 1 in every 68 childbirths in the United States, and that is nearly twice as many as in 2004, which had a rate of 1 in 125 births, and almost 1 in 54 boys are diagnosed with some form of autism. Researchers estimated the lifetime cost of caring for a child with autism is as great as $2.4 million. The Autism Society estimated that the United States is facing almost $90 billion annually in the cost for autism, and this figure includes research, insurance costs, and non-covered expenses, Medicaid waivers for autism, educational spending, as well as housing, transportation, employment, and therapeutic services, and caregiver costs. One way that we can actually get ahead of autism is to know the early signs. Early identification can change lives, and autism is treatable. Children do not outgrow autism, but studies show that early diagnosis and intervention can lead to significantly improved outcomes. And for more information on development milestones, I'm going to show another slide later as to what we should be looking for at the different stages of our children and toddlers' lives. The CDC has a site called Know the Signs, Act Early. Some of the signs that they list to look for in children is a lack of or delay in spoken language, meaning your child gets to a certain age and does not begin babbling or attempting to articulate words. Repetitive use of language and or motor mannerisms such as hand flapping or twirling objects. Little to no eye contact. Lack of interest in peer relationships. Lack of spontaneous or make-believe play. Persistent fixation on parts of objects. Some signs and symptoms of autism, the characteristics and behaviors of autism spectrum disorder may be apparent as early as in infancy, between the ages of 18 to 24 months, but they usually become clearer during early childhood, which is 24 months to 6 years of age. As a part of a well baby or a well child visit, your doctor should perform a developmental screening on your child, asking specific questions about your baby's progress. The National Institute of Child Health and Human Development lists 5 behaviors that warrant further evaluation. Those 5 things would be that by the age of 12 months, your baby is not babbling or making cooing noises. Your baby does not point or gesture or waves or try to grasp things by the age of 12 months as well. That your child does not say single words by the age of 16 months. Your child is unable to say two-word phrases on his or her own second birthday. Or the child has any loss of language or social skill at any age. Any of these signs are red flags, but they do not mean that your child is autistic. But because the disorder symptoms vary so widely, a child showing any of these behaviors should be evaluated further, just to screen out any possibility using a multidisciplinary team that would normally be put together by your primary care provider. The team should include a neurologist, a psychologist, a developmental pediatrician, a speech-language therapist, a learning consultant, or other professional who is knowledgeable about autism. As I said earlier, I was going to bring up a website that's going to help us find some of the things that we should be looking for in our children according to their age. Because the first 3 years of life are crucial to a child's development. These are the years that we really want to hone in on looking for these developmental deficiencies in our children. Children should make several visits to their pediatrician during the first 3 years of their life for well baby checkups, their vaccination, and general developmental screenings. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that the 18 to 24 month old checkup should include screening for autism spectrum disorders for all children. If the child is showing that they have slight symptoms, then they should be further tested. What I'm about to show you all now is going to be milestones that we should be looking for in our children at certain stages of their development. At 3 months of age, our children should begin to develop a social smile, meaning things that you say or giggle at them, they should also giggle back or acknowledge that they're responsive to what you're doing. Our children should become more expressive and communicate more with face and body recognition. They should raise their head and chest when lying or stomach, bring their hands to their mouths. Most of us tend to think that our babies are, gonna gnaw themselves or scratch themselves, but it's actually a normal reflex for a baby to put their hands in their mouths at this stage of 3 months. A baby should also begin to take swipes at dangling objects with their hands. They should grasp and shake toys. They should watch faces intently, meaning they should show signs that they recognize what you're saying to them. They should recognize familiar objects and people at a distance. They should recognize sound, smiles of your voice. They should begin to babble. They should begin to imitate some sounds. And they should turn their head towards the direction of certain sounds. One thing that I have found is that there's a sound called white noise. It's very soothing to babies. And it also, for whatever reason, the sound of a running fan, as it soothes them, it will actually lull them to sleep. But it also shows that they are recognizing this as a stimulant to them. So that's also a good sign. At 7 months of age, our child should enjoy social play. They should be interested in mirror images, such as reaching out towards the mirror when you place it in front of them. They will struggle to get objects that are out of reach. So you will see them pulling up, grasping at things that they can't get, trying to stand. They should respond to their own name. At this age, baby should babble chains of sound. They should be able to roll both ways. They should sit with and then without support on hands. They should reach with one hand and transfer objects from one hand to the other. By the time our children are a year old, most children at this age are shy or anxious with strangers. This, in some instances, is very good. It teaches your children to recognize familiar people and dissect them from people that they're not close with. Our children at 1 year of age will more than likely cry when their mother or father leaves. That detachment sinks in when they see a parent leaving. They should enjoy imitating people in play. They repeat sounds or gestures for attention. They should be able to finger feed themselves little small foods. Find hidden objects easily. They should begin to use objects correctly, such as drinking from cups and brushing hair, dialing a phone, or listening to a receiver. They should respond to the word no. Our children at this age should use simple gestures such as shaking head for no, and most of us with children know that sometimes that becomes baby's best word. No. Yes means no, and no means no, and I don't know means no as well. Our children should use simple gestures such as, I'm sorry, I said that one already. Our children should babble with inflection, such as changing their tone to let us know, hey, I mean this, or I'm playing about that. We should be able to tell different measures of stress or lack of in our children by the tone of their sounds. Such as with babies, we know the difference between their cries. We know one cry means I'm probably hungry or need changing, and the other cry means I just want to be held for 5 minutes. So even at 1 year old, although it may not be crying, it'll be saying words that we don't comprehend. We should know the difference in their tone. At 1, our babies should begin saying dada and mama, and use exclamations such as uh-oh. I like to hear little children say that. I think it's very cute. Our children should be trying to imitate words and crawl forward on their bellies at the age of 1. Now, by the age of 2, and I'm not going to read all of these, they should be able to imitate behavior of others, especially adults and older children. They should demonstrate increasing independence. They should begin to show defiant behavior. This is our terrible 2s. They should be able to find objects even when hidden under 2 or 3 covers. They should be able to point to objects or pictures when it's named. They should be able to say several single words by 15 to 18 months. At 2, our children should be able to use simple phrases and 2 to 4 word sentences. And by the time our children reach 3, they should be able to imitate adults and playmates. They should be able to make mechanical toys work. They should be able to separate easily from parents, meaning every time you walk out the door, they're not screaming at the top of their lungs. They should be able to complete puzzles with 3 or 4 pieces. And they should be able to understand most sentences and use about 4 to 5 word sentences themselves. As it says on the screen, early identification of ASD is crucial, as it means early intervention services can begin. The earlier that it is detected, the earlier that we can begin implementing services to help them become better equipped. And as it was stated earlier, there is no cure for autism, but it can be managed and make it where our children can have a more productive life, even with autism. So the final thing I'm going to talk about is learning the signs of autism, and again, the importance of acting early. The importance of screening using a doctor and nurse using developmental screening is because it tells if the children are learning basic skills when they should, or if they're late in learning. Now, simply because your child may be late in learning, again, that does not mean that they have autism. Some children just learn a little bit later than others. One of the things that I want to mention is that All the information that I have given you this evening concerning autism can be found on autismspeaks.org. It can also be found on the CDC website under autism, and you can Google for information. If you believe that your child may be suffering, or you would like to get more information to make sure that your child is where they need to be at, again, autismsociety.org is a great place where we can go and get all the information we need and get resources on having our children tested. Again, I want to mention that you are watching Words of Wisdom. Again, I come from Wisdom Chapter number 25. Our website is going to be wisdomchapter25.org. I'm sorry. And our email address, if you have any questions or concerns, is wisdomchapter25@hotmail.com. We can be reached at 773-663-2640. And let me correct that phone number. It's 773-633-2640. So again, my name is Yvonne, and I am the president of Wisdom Chapter 25. And if you have any quick questions that you'd like to call in and have answered, please do so at 312-738-1060. Again, this is April, and April is actually Autism Awareness Month as well as Child Abuse Awareness Month. And in some instances, unfortunately, those two do work hand in hand. When our children are misdiagnosed and we don't understand them, sometimes we get frustrated. If you're finding yourself in that type of predicament, also on Autism Speak website, there's information on how you as a caregiver or provider can also find resources to help you cope with a child that may be autistic. There's no shame in reaching out for help. And again, that website is going to be autismsociety.org/livingwithautism. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in to this month's show. Again, this is Words of Wisdom. I am Yvonne, and we are Wisdom Chapter number 25. Our website is wisdomchapter25.org. On our website, you will find resources for anything that we've spoken about on our show. If you have questions or comments, there's a contact us page where you can email us, you can call us, fax us information, and we'll be more than happy to share with you any resources that we have ourselves pertaining to this particular topic. So, again, watch out for those early warning signs for your children. And also, again, be aware that simply because your child may not follow the status quo of the things that I've mentioned, they may not coo until 8 months. Let's not panic or freak out. Again, it's an individual child, but these are just guidelines for you to be aware of, just in case your child may need a little bit of extra help. And on that note, I'm going to say thank you again for joining Words of Wisdom. My name is Yvonne. I'm with Wisdom Chapter 25, and you have a great evening.